Welcome back to the 100 million. Oh, we got to start that again. Welcome back to the Alchemist Nation podcast. My name is Walter Morello, and we've been traveling across the country speaking to real estate investors who are large and small, who are successful and starting. And today we've got a very unique investor who's actually here in Tampa. He's successful. He's doing exactly what we're doing, and he's building his rental portfolio. But Brandon, you were just saying, it seems like turning and burning them kind of makes sense. Welcome, Brandon Middleton, to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, Brandon, how did you get started as a real estate investor?
Well, how much time do we have? How I got started was in 2006, which felt very similar to how the market feels right now. My wife and I were young, highly emotional, which is not a place to be because everyone around you was flipping houses and all the TV shows were like, we just need a house. So we got started by being that guy that's, the highest bidder on the front yard with 15 other people paying way too much for the houses. So that was a short-lived run. We all know what happened in 2008. And we took basically a hiatus until 2016, which I thought we were about at the height of the market. So I got started, quickly stopped, but I stayed in real estate in my marketing, digital marketing agency. I worked exclusively with real estate investors. So I learned all kinds of different acquisition strategies and marketing strategies. So a little untraditional way of getting into real estate. But yeah, that's the short version.
I like it, Brandon, because what it taught you was marketing, right? And You got in 2 years before me. I got in at 2008, which was still the backside of the crash. We crashed till about 2009 in my market, 2010. So you started off with a little bit of a rough start. You're saying the same thing I'm saying. This feels a lot like 2006. This feels a whole lot like it. What is it you're doing right now to prepare yourself so that you can still cash flow and still make money, even if we are at the height? Obviously, rentals don't work the same way. What is it you're doing to make sure money still comes in?
Well, when we got back into real estate, now being in our marketing agency for over 10 years, my wife and I agreed that we would spend none of our own cash, none of our own credit on anything except for marketing. And so we got really good at generating off-market leads. And so I knew that as long as we have the leads and we don't have to rely on the MLS or we don't have to rely on other wholesalers, that we were in control. So we wholesale anything that didn't fit our buy box. So that's a lot of what we're doing right now. We're wholesaling, we're rehabbing like the cherry pick deals that have typically 50,000 plus, or what we've been thinking is only 50,000 plus, but the market's crazy and we're getting, 30, 40, 50,000 over at already high asking price. And I'm just staying educated. I'm asking, other smart guys what they're doing with their portfolios. And I'm selling anything that I can to be as liquid as possible for this turn. So
I like that you said it, being liquid. I said yesterday in a little TikTok, I said, cash is trash. You got to hold cash right now. But I didn't mean it like, don't buy anything. What I was saying was cash is an asset that you want to hold. Like, people are saying it's trash, but in reality, it's the one that you need on the downside. That doesn't mean don't invest. It just means be super cautious with the numbers. What markets right now are you invested in Tampa?
We're casting a pretty wide net. We're basically within a 2-hour drive in and around Tampa Bay. So as far south as Port Charlotte, as far north as Marion County, Ocala.
So what do you see for deals? Like where are you seeing the most deals for you right now?
Most deals are probably like West Pasco and Hernando County. Is that what you mean? Like, so one thing that I skipped over is we are very specific that we only market to affordable housing. Like, I'm not interested if $1 million house falls in our lap for half a million, I'm not going to say no, but we've over 800,000 records of data that we use for our marketing, and it's all within that at any given time, like $100,000 to $250,000 first time home buyer kind of house. And I think we'll always be in that space.
That market's where we've always hung out ourselves. We're not into there's three things that crash first, right? Luxury, condos, and new construction. And so those three are the ones we've always avoided, which leaves open small multifamily, and that 200,000, 250,000 range.
Yep.
So how'd you come to that conclusion? How'd you decide, this is where I'm going to stay?
Some of the clients that I worked for, I started to hear that pattern. Eddie Speed was one of my longest standing clients. He's a good old boy in Texas, and buys and sells notes. And he specifically focuses on stuff usually that's like under 100,000 because it's not bankable. Like the mortgage companies aren't really interested in those tiny little loans. So it creates a lot of opportunity. And then a couple of years ago, I worked for a hedge fund that a buddy of mine owned. I helped set up their wholesale division. And I got to see how Wall Street looks at single family residential, and staying in that affordable price band is key.
That's where the money is. We want the highest amount of volume, right? We want there to be transactions. If there's not a ton of transactions, there's not money to be made. There's no liquidity.
Right. And it also gives you flexibility with your portfolio, because at any point in time, you can flip it, you can rent it. And even if the market crashed, you could even owner finance it, right? So you have a lot more options with that, affordable home. It's a lot harder to do that on the luxury or condos, right?
Absolutely. And so we're always wrong with our predictions when we say, market's going to crash, tomorrow's the day, this year, this month. What would you say is the prediction? And just so you don't feel guilty with this prediction, I have since 2015 saying it could be this year. It really could be this year.
Yeah, 2017, I sold a triplex that I bought for 60,000. And I sold an owner finance deal that was rented out to a state institution that they would have been the best renters forever. And because I'm like, we're at the top, I should get out. And here we are, right? But what I didn't know then was I didn't know about the 18-year, 14 to 18-year real estate cycles. I hadn't spent any time learning about cycles, and now I have. And for the last 200 years, it's pretty, predictable.
And that's been the case. So we look at, one of my friends, he operated for a large syndication for years. And he said, he's like, well, real estate, really multifamily is what he's talking about. He's like, has kind of this 18-year cycle. And I was looking at it, he's like, what do you mean 18 years? And he's like, yeah, we're looking at something maybe 2026, 2024. But he's like, these next 2 years are going to be absolutely ridiculous. They're going to be nuts.
Yeah.
And expect that. So what are you doing to prepare yourself? How do you operate, knowing that cash flow is slim right now, right? Like there's the slimness to it. And the other side is we've got a lot of commercial investors who shifted over to multifamily. The guys who used to run malls and complexes and hotels and casinos are now looking at multifamily and jumping into that market. Mm-hmm. So our multifamily whales are not able to push into the market they normally would have, and they're getting pushed back down. So there's a lot more competition, especially here in the states that they're moving into, Florida, Texas, Arizona. Mm-hmm. What is the strategy you found that still is working right now?
Strategy to compete or
to find that cash, right? To find that liquidity. I know you were talking a little bit earlier, like you're staying liquid. What is it you're doing to keep that going?
Well, any other businesses that I can get into pretty passively, like renting cars on Turo. I've got a drop shipping thing, stuff that is pretty somewhat set it and forget it, or I can put one of my team members on it and just add that extra cash flow from a totally different space. Selling anything that, any of my rentals that I was keeping them rental grade, fit and finish, and now I'm rehabbing them and selling them and getting way more. What else am I doing? Just to stay liquid? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Because there's different times where right now cash, everybody doesn't want to hold cash. Everybody's trying to get into these assets. And this is the part to be fearful, right? Like instead of being greedy with everybody else, be fearful and say, you know what, the end is coming. How do I get more cash? Because once you've liquidated what you've got, you still want more, right? Like there's still the ability to get more.
That's our whole marketing department, which is wholesaling, is what most people look at it as, that business model. For us, it's not a business model. For us, it is our marketing department. Like if we aren't wholesaling, then we're not, then our business is directly tied to wholesalers or the MLS. And I don't ever want to rely on anybody else. As much as I can keep in-house and control, I know that that's how we'll be here for a very long time.
I like that. So that's one of the pieces that we talk about when we're teaching wholesaling on Monday nights. We talk about, as an investor, you've got to learn the funnel. You got to get your funnel started.
Yep.
And if you don't have any money, then wholesaling is a great way to learn that initial piece that every investor wishes they knew or needs to know, which is how to find the deal. Now, wholesale a few, but ultimately the goal is to own them, to flip them, to be buying them. But until you get that point, like you never want to lose the skill set of marketing. You never want to lose the deal flow.
Yeah, any business, period. If you don't think of yourself as a marketer, you're already setting yourself up for failure.
That's the truth. Brandon, do you hold your real estate license?
No, sir. My wife does.
So your partner does. I spent the last 5 years teaching real estate agents all across the country. And the biggest lesson that I wish they understood was that you're a marketer. Like you're not an agent, like you get your license. They're not going to just send you out to houses to show houses. You have to be.
No, they're going to handcuff you from being able to market as easily.
Well, right.
Right. That's the biggest reason why I opted not to get my license, because I don't want any restrictions. I want to be able to put out bandit signs or, stick a 40-foot banner on my building and do whatever I want without having to say like, I'm a licensed agent.
Yeah, it definitely,
nothing wrong with it.
It definitely slows you down a little bit. Well, let me say that if you're a licensed agent, that's not going to stop you. Like just go and do it. Yeah. The only thing that will slow you down is maybe don't do bandit signs, because your name is attached to everything.
Right.
But even with that, you could still get away with it. The key to it is just be clear, just say, hey, I'm an agent, right? And all documents, just let them know you're an agent. So yeah,
I hear my wife constantly getting into trouble, so to speak, because, the DBPR is, if someone doesn't like the way that you're doing something, they'll just be like, I'm going to report you. And like, I constantly got pink slips for insubordination in high school. It's like, I just don't like people telling me what to do. It's not like it's ridiculous. So that's,
you would class yourself as not a rule follower. Is that fair to say?
Correct. No, not at all.
I'd say that's one of the requirements to be successful as a wholesaler, to be successful as a marketer, because you got to go against the grain a little bit. How'd you start the marketing company?
Well, I actually accidentally did, because I would, when we got into real estate, I was only a few years out of high school, like doing night classes in college. And so I'm like, well, real estate's clearly not going to pay my bills. It's actually, drowning me. So I need to find something else to make money. And I just cannot go get a job. So I started this, like basically a Geek Squad service with a buddy of mine who was really good with computers. and he also built websites. So very quickly, people started asking us for websites instead of the computer repair stuff. And I used to have a polo with my logo on it, and I would wear it when I went to all these real estate conferences, because many of them, once you paid for it once, you were allowed to reattend. And when you live in Florida, like they were everywhere. Like Orlando was like every single weekend, Tampa. And people would just come up to me and be like, "Oh, wait, you build websites? Do you know anything about Infusionsoft or ClickFunnels?" At the time, most ClickFunnels, but and so the more I learned that what that niche wanted and how much value they put on it, we quickly realized we can do the same amount of work for a real estate investor to get leads, and do that same amount of work for a local restaurant, and we're going to get paid 100 times more because their average customer value is much higher. So that was it. The first client paid me like $3,000 a month retainer that paid like all of our bills. And then I just kept leveling up from there until we were doing revenue share agreements. We would only take on projects that we knew we could increase their revenue. And those checks started to, become $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a month.
That's fantastic. That was with ClickFunnels or Infusionsoft? How'd you start out?
Started out with Infusionsoft and WordPress sites. Forget what was the WordPress theme that everybody used to use for funnels. I forgot.
I was using Carrot. I was using Investor Carrot. So,
oh, right.
I had skipped over WordPress at the beginning.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
No.
We recently shifted into ClickFunnels. Do you still use it, or which of the websites do you prefer for lead gen?
So I like ClickFunnels for the real estate business, or I like Carrot for the real estate business. We have 2 Carrot websites, but I use ClickFunnels and WordPress for the personal brand, the club, stuff like that.
It's funny. We found the same thing. ClickFunnels primarily is where all of the coaching stuff kind of sits out there in their membership site, and WordPress is where all the free stuff goes. Like you could really manipulate WordPress whatever way you want and kind of add value. And if we were to go back to generating leads, it'd probably be Investor Carrot. It would be probably on Carrot, just because the landing page is perfect. You don't have to change much.
Yeah, and we pay for the extra marketing package or whatever, so you can just log in and just publish, like schedule like 100 blog posts out. So we get leads. One of our bigger deals earlier on was a $70,000 wholesale on a sinkhole property, and the guy was a real estate attorney handling his mom's estate, and so he was doing his research online, and for selling a sinkhole house was one of our articles and key phrases that we showed up for. So that paid for itself real quick.
That's awesome. Yeah, the SEO is huge. Going and getting the blogs done, that is one of the biggest returns on investment, especially if you can hit it in your market, right? And I'm sure all your marketing is Tampa. Perfect. Awesome, Brandon. So this has been, I could probably have you on again and
happy
pull
to
out even more information because this is exactly what's relevant to wholesalers, to real estate investors, especially people who are looking at the Tampa market and saying, "Hey, I want to get in," and to the Tampa market already, who are already here saying, "How do I do this? Like, what do I do? How do I do it?" Somebody wanted to get in touch with you and learn more about what you're doing, or learn more about the Monday nights. What's the easiest way to contact you?
Easiest way to contact me is either go to my website. That's brandonmiddleton.me, not .com, brandonmiddleton.me. Or I would say probably Facebook. I feel like a dinosaur when I say that. Like I don't like, I have Instagram, I have the other platforms, but Facebook.
I'm still cool. Just message me on Facebook though.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not gonna
message
be
me
everywhere
on Facebook, and it might take me a couple days to actually see it and respond. So, but yeah, my website has form, has a number that I'll forward to my office. And yeah. And if you're in and around Tampa or willing to travel, our Monday night 6:30 p.m. meetings every single Monday night, that's the easiest way, just belly to belly. That's probably why I'm not so big on social, because real relationships for me are a lot easier just belly to belly. So
I agree, man. Sales is a contact sport, and relationships, you just learn so much more when somebody's in person with you. So,
yeah.
Brandon, if you could travel back in time, go back to a 20-year-old Brandon who's just getting started, just out of high school, hungry, wants to be successful, what 3 pieces of advice would you give yourself or give a 20-year-old entrepreneur who's just getting started so they could get here faster?
All right. Well, probably it's hard to put 3, but it might be 4. First, I would say attitude is everything. My grandfather gave me a quote very early on, and was life is 80% what 90% what happens to you, 10% how you respond to it, basically. So attitude over talent. I can tell you, even in the real estate business, I get deals, good things happen that necessarily wouldn't, like, other people are better at it maybe, or fancier, prettier, but I've had too many things happen in our business over the last 15 years plus, because we've always had a good attitude, had an abundance mindset, not scarcity or lack. And now we call it long-term greedy instead of short-term greedy these days. So that's number 1, attitude. Number 2, I would say learn how money works. Rich Dad Poor Dad was the first book that I read. I didn't read a book in high school, got all through school, never read one front to back. Rich Dad Poor Dad was like, whoa, I barely made it through high school, and period. And I just read this book that helped me understand assets, liabilities, how money works. And it made me feel like, oh, I don't have to be a doctor. I don't have to, be really that smart. I can play this game and I can win. So learn how money works, number 2. And then, man, it's so easy to get wrapped up chasing money. I would tell my 20-year-old self, keep your priorities in order. Like, what's really important. My wife and I have been together 20 years, but at the 3-year mark, I was working in my business so much that she was going to bed alone, and she was like, deuces, I'm out. So we split up for a week. I almost, lost the mother of my children, my wife, that early on, because I was always thinking that ends will justify the means. And so I know it's probably hard for a 20-year-old self to even listen to, but yeah, keeping your priorities in order is super, super important.
Brandon, awesome job, man. That's 3 powerful ones. Keep your priorities in order. And so, I messed that one up early on. When I was 28, I went through a divorce. So
dang, it's easy to do. Like,
it's easy to do, brother.
too easy that young.
And the best advice to everybody is go back and listen to this podcast again. And if you like what you hear, if you like what Brandon had to say today, then go to iTunes, write a review for us. Alchemist Nation Podcast is looking to help more people get to the next level. As you know, I'm on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. And I've had a great conversation, a number of conversations now with Brandon, and he's on the same mission. I wouldn't say we're putting a true limit on how many people we're building. Brandon is looking at it and saying, I'm just going to go help. I'm just going to help as many people as I can. I think in line with Zig Ziglar, you can get whatever you want if you help enough people get what they want. Brandon, you are an alchemist. You have the ability to transform yourself into a greater person, a bigger heart, a bigger being. And I think that anybody who touches you is going to become an alchemist themselves, where they now have the ability to be better and get more of this powerful life that they want to live. Any closing statements, Brandon, that you want to say before we get off?
Just stop consuming too much information and start doing, just action will teach you so much. Fail forward fast.
I love it. It's so powerful. I tell on any one of our calls, if they don't have questions, I'm like, you haven't done it enough then. Like go take some action.
And the younger you are doing that, the more forgiving it is. So
absolutely. Make mistakes, do it faster, fail forward. Cheers to your success. Thank you, Brennan. I appreciate
Thank you for having me.